What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the Project Monte Carlo here. Just kind of run you through. I cheated. I did a couple of things off camera just because I had a little bit of time and I wanted to kind of take advantage of it. It was time that I was not expecting to have, so I didn't have the camera with me. And rather than trying to film on my phone, I just chose to not film at all. So sorry about that. I did just a little bit. Let's see if I can plop myself in here. I went ahead and put the transmission tunnel in. Again, this is from Tin Man Fabrication. So it's a pre-made trans tunnel. I don't remember if I showed it on one of the earlier episodes. I think I just kind of glossed over it. I am not a welder, so as you can see, my welds look absolutely terrible. Burned through in a couple of spots, but that's fine. I've got it primed right now just to kind of keep it protected so it doesn't start flash rusting. I do need to figure out what I'm going to do here. Pull this off so you can see what's going on. So there's transmission is obviously there. This is a reverse lockout kind of underneath there so you can get a better angle. This is a reverse lockout which just stops you from being able to go into reverse while you're at speed, which is obviously a good thing. You don't want to be going into reverse when you're going 60, 70, 80 miles an hour or whatever. But because it sticks out so far, I'm going to have to figure out some way. I thought I might be able to just weld across the top here and hammer the bottom out and do something there. But I think I'm going to have to grind these welds off and actually have this be almost like a raised platform. So I do have a little bit of extra metal from where I cut out the shifter hole. So I'm going to see if I can do something with that to try and get that figured out. I'm not sure if I'm going to deal with that. Well, that'll be on this episode, I'm sure. I'm also going to spray all of this with a rubberized undercoating. I picked these up for clearance at Ace Hardware. Your Ace Hardware may also have them for clearance. And that's about all I have planned. I do need to get some seam sealer, lay down seam sealer around here just to keep it a little bit more weatherproof than it is. I am going to have to figure out something for over here. Again, just to make that look a little nicer, which is not my highest priority, but more than that, I want to try and keep the heat and everything underneath the car. So I do want to seal that up as best as I can, and that's a little bit too big of a gap to fill in with seam sealer, so I'll have to weld in some actual metal there. I do have the section that I cut out from the factory trans tunnel, so I've got a good bit of metal between what I've got here and what I've got there. I've got a couple other sneaky things that I want to try and get done while I've got the carpet out. I'm going to drill holes in the floor above the body mounts so that I could spray those, lubricate those, because those are pretty well shot. Probably not going to do that on this. Well, you'll see me drilling the holes and probably spraying, but I am probably not going to do anything about actually trying to replace those for a bit yet, because that's a much bigger job, and right now I just want to focus on getting this to a state where it's drivable. I also am going to need to measure the drive shaft. So I do have the drive shaft slipped into the end of the slip yoke, and it's significantly too long, so that's going to have to get cut down. I'm still shopping around a couple shops by me to see who's going to be able to do that. I do want to show another thing I did off camera. I did modify the transmission cross member. I don't know if you remember in the last video, but this was sitting way too high where I would have had to cut a lot of the floor out. So what I did is I cut the flange off here, just kind of flush with the tube. I set the trans on a jack and kind of positioned it more or less where I wanted it to be. I fried all in the underside here, tried to weld it as best as I could just to get it kind of solid. Then I unbolted the cross member, dropped it out, and actually took the time to go through and weld and just lay it in thick, put it all back in, bolted it back up, and now it actually sits in a spot that I'm a lot more comfortable with how everything is going. So that's good. But so yeah, I've got to do the drive shaft here. That's on my to-do list. I need to get some way of converting the long tube headers into the existing exhaust. These are 2.5-inch pipes, and that's I believe that's a 3-inch collector. So I'll probably have to get a 3-inch to 2.5-inch reducer. And I am probably going to just set it up as a V-band. I've done V-bands on all of my other stuff, and it functions, and that's really all I'm looking for is function. This may come as a surprise, but I don't really care how things look. I just care how they function. So that is going to be on my to-do list. Probably not going to do that until after I hear the car run or the engine run and I verify that, you know, everything's good on that front. Even though I did go through the engine, it was kind of a rattle can rebuild, so I'm not expecting it to be perfect. I'm just hoping that it runs. Outside of that, I got a little bit more wiring to do. You can see I got some wiring hanging out over there, so I've got to connect the oxygen sensor, which I'm going to throw over on the driver's side. Let's pop back under the hood. I still have to put the starter on. Oh, apparently that's locked. There we go. All right. Still got to put the starter on. Definitely can't start it without a starter. Gonna have to put the water pump on. I got to figure out what I'm going to do about a radiator. I do have an aluminum radiator for an 82 to 92 Camaro because I had one of those sitting around for a while. And I'm not sure how well, if at all, that's going to fit in here, but I do still have the factory radiator, so I can always put that back in, and if it ends up not being enough cooling, I could step it up to something a little bit more potent. But otherwise, once I get the radiator in, finish wiring up the electrical, and throw the water pump on, I'm basically at a point where we could start the engine. So just kind of as a quick rehash of everything we've done so far. We pulled out the old 350, did a rattle can rebuild on the 5.3. Was a 385-ish thousand mile block. So we just did a quick pull it apart, check everything, put it all back together, no machine work. Some new gaskets, some old gaskets, stock heads. We've got bigger valve springs, Summit 8707 cam, blower from a GT500 from 08 to I think 2012, something like that. This adapter plate from a company called SWS Motorworks, or SWS Motorsports, sorry. Those guys are awesome. They're creating an intercooler right now, actually a couple intercoolers that fits in between the Holley lower intake manifold and their plate, I believe. So it's going to space everything up. I did order one, just waiting for them to finish building because they're just kind of passing through the prototype stage. But they are, as they say, bringing boost to the masses, which is very cool of them to do. These blowers are reasonably inexpensive. These trade all day long for between $800 to $1,500 on eBay. In functional takeoff condition. This is a 2-liter. It's an Eaton M122. And these, a lot of guys will take these off and swap over to the 2.3-liter that was on the later GT500s, or sometimes to, you know, a completely different blower altogether. But so we did all of that with the engine. It's running on a Holley Terminator, which I've got tucked in down here. That still needs to get finished wiring up. I've got all the wires and everything just kind of hanging down under there. We also have the T56 trans, which is underneath the trans tunnel that we talked about earlier. There's a monster twin disc clutch holding it all together. And we did the front coilovers. So once we get this kind of set up, this is going to be a fun little ride. It's not going to be the fastest thing on the street, but it's going to make fun blower noises. It's going to be reasonably quick. It's going to cook tire on demand. You can hear the blower going, so that's fun. I feel like I'm like a kid waiting for Christmas, because it's going to be a blast when this thing gets going. But anyways, without further ado, I'm going to end my little introduction here, and I will hop right into starting to get some of this work actually done instead of talking about it. So let's get her done. Okay, so it keeps raining on and off, as you can see. Car's getting wet. It's actually drizzling a little bit right now. So I'm not sure how much I'm going to get done today. This might get pushed off into another day. But what I am going to do, just kind of get a little sidetracked here. Right about here on the underside, you'll see, well, if it comes through, there's a hole in the frame that actually goes up to a body mount. And these will seize up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill just a tiny hole in here. I think I grabbed an 1/8 inch drill bit, just big enough to get the straw for like a PB blaster. And of course I'm now realizing that the one PB blaster that I grabbed didn't have a straw in it, so I'll have to pilfer a straw from something else. But I'm going to drill a hole in there. I'm going to just soak it with PB blaster. I'm not going to do anything with those in the immediate future. I do need to get them replaced at some point because they are all shredding and falling apart and just look terrible. And worse than that is they'll not function how they're supposed to. But I'm going to drill a hole into at least these two on the cabin. There's another one that's further back here. I think it's under the seat. I'll have to kind of shuffle stuff around and figure out what is going on. But since I've got the carpet up anyways to do the trans tunnel, I figure this is a perfect opportunity to just kind of prepare myself for future projects. So I'm going to go ahead and start drilling that, and then we'll find a hose or a straw for the penetrating spray, and we'll spray it down in there and get it ready to go. Just that easy. All right, so I drilled out the spot here and on the other side for these middle two body mounts. Behind here, drilled out another spot because there's another body mount, right about here. And the same on the other side. On the front, there's one right around in here that I did not get to because I'm not sure what the best way to get to that one is. I imagine I'm probably supposed to pull out this liner and I probably have a better access to it, but I'm going to leave that for right now. And then up in the front, actually they're on the top, I did spray on the top on both of them, and then I also went back and sprayed up underneath to get on the thread side. So the last ones to do are going to be, they're under the trunk, and they are right in here, right here all the way in the back corner of the frame. So I'm going to try and line up and find a spot and drill through on the angle there, just so I can spray in, get some penetrating fluid there, and call it good. All right, I'm not sure if that footage is going to make it in. I did get this screwed in. There's not really a great place to set up the camera back here. I had it sitting on top of the booster, and I don't know how much of it actually was able to see, but the regulator is mounted now to the firewall. It's got a little bit of wiggle, but I mean, it's not going to fall and get stuck on anything, so that's fine. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I don't know how well that's going to come through. The fuel stuff is all kind of close to one of the primaries. It's not like sitting on it. It's, I mean, I don't know, 2 inches away or so, 1.5 inches away. So I'm sure it's fine, but I might figure out some way to have that sit a little bit further away even, just because I'm not ecstatic about that. But otherwise, next step is I got to see if I have water pump bolts. Maybe I'll throw the water pump on. I don't think I'm going to put the radiator and hoses and everything in yet, but just get the water pump on so I could get the belt on. The ground is all wet. It seems like it stopped raining. The ground is all wet, so I'm not really eager to be rolling around on the ground to wire up all the fuel pump and all that. But I do still have all of the terminator stuff that I can wire up. So I might wire up everything positive side and just leave the negative side of the battery disconnected. kind of see how much time I've got for the day. I've got some stuff that I've got to do later in the day, but for now I can just keep powering through as much of this as I am able, and hopefully get this to a point where I'm either ready to start or very close to start, because I'm excited and I imagine you are too. So let's find a water pump, see if I've got bolts for that or if I have to order them. And if I don't have bolts, then I'll have to put that on my to-do list. And if I do have bolts, then we'll start putting it on. All right, so I got a water pump here. This is the one that came off the truck with 400,000 miles or so, but it's got the fan on it, and I want to make sure that the fan fits. So I'm going to check with that water pump, and I might change it later, or I might just run it and see how it goes. I do have a set of new gaskets, and I also was able to find at least 6 bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can start bolting this on. All right, so I was able to get the water pump on. I did have bolts, gaskets, all that. It's on, it works, it's great. So next I'm gonna throw the belt on. This is a Gates Micro V K061093. This is cool. The guys from SWS Motorsports have a kit where it comes with, you know, the adapter and this pulley relocation bit, so that you can run this belt. So it's just a all-in-one solution. I mean, you can even buy, I think they even have like injectors and all that stuff you can buy from them. You can buy the Holley manifold, which comes with the rail, so you could literally just one-stop shop with them, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this belt on, and then we'll figure out our next steps. All right, so after a little bit of struggling, I got the belt on. I found the easiest way was actually to do this idler pulley last. Usually I do the water pump last, just because it's easy enough. It's big to just slide right on, but that wasn't happening, so I just did the side pulley last for the idler. But I've got all that set up. I'm kind of running out of time for today to get stuff done. I do have some other things I got to take care of. So I think I'm going to call it here for the day. And then when we jump back in, probably tomorrow, hopefully the ground is dry. I can finish wiring up the fuel pump up to the front here, get all that run. I'd like to get the rest of the electrical up here run. The engine is all, I'll have to double check, but the engine should be all wired up. I think the only things that I have left to do is I've got to wire up the alternator signal wire and the positive battery stud, and then put an engine ground on the engine. But other than that, I believe all the rest of the engine is all set up. I've got all the sensors and everything. I'll have to put the starter on and wire up the starter, but we'll see if I can do that tomorrow. Otherwise, I think I'm going to call it for now, and I'll see you in just a moment. All right, so it is a couple days later. I had a lot of stuff going on the last few days, so I kind of put this on the back burner. I did a little bit of just kind of some Mickey Mouse wiring to get the Terminator deal all set up. I wanted to test, verify that the fuel pump works and all that. I did turn it over. I found quite a few vacuum leaks, but I figured I would show you what we got going on. So let me get this all set up. We'll do a not so first start. fuel pump going there. Crank it over. So as you can see, it's very loud. Still have to get the exhaust set up, but it runs. So that's awesome. There's still a handful of things that I need to get sorted out. As you can see, the blower pulley, I don't know if it's not fully seated on, but it seems like the belt is trying to walk off. So I'm going to chase down, figure out what that is. I'm not sure if that's just the pulley hub is not fully seated. It's flush, so I'm not sure how to get it further on than there. I'm going to reach out to SWS Motorsports, who makes that kit, and see if they can shed a little bit of light on there. The belt is like walking up on the idler, which doesn't really make sense. I checked, and all the other pulleys look lined up. I mean, they're all stock pulleys except for this pulley and obviously the supercharger pulley. So I got to figure out what's making those walk. It's very strange because even if you look at this lined up this way, it's obvious that that belt is walking in some, and I'm not sure what would cause that belt to walk in some unless there's something that's out of whack or out of balance or something. When you look down at this idler, it's actually walking away some, which is also odd, but that's a stock pulley. It's relocated as part of the ICT billet bracket. So I guess technically these three pulleys are not factory, but all the other pulleys, everything looks good, everything lines up right. So I got to find out what's going on with that, play around with that. I don't know if it came through in the video, but it's running extremely rich because I do have the oxygen sensor just sitting in free air right now, just to, you know, crank it, listen to it run, make sure that the engine sounds healthy, which I think it does. Once I get the exhaust all set up and everything, I'll have a better idea of if there's any engine noises or anything. Now the exhaust is just so loud you can't hear anything except the exhaust. You can hear the supercharger sucking in air through the filter a little bit, but that's about it. But anyways, I think that's where I'm going to wrap up this episode. I'm going to finish on the next episode. Like I said, I'm going to try and do a lot of that stuff. Most of that I'm probably not going to put on camera unless there's something that I see that's a very obvious oversight on my part, something that I did wrong, or something that I feel should be brought to attention, just to make sure that you don't get it wrong if you decide to copy something like this. And then lastly, next episode we'll also finish up the trans tunnel, get that all set, get the interior kind of all put back together, and possibly wrap up some of the exhaust, and hopefully I'll have a drive shaft by then. But otherwise, I'm going to call it on this one, so I will see you guys on the next one.